Terence Crawford says at the moment he hasn't heard if Errol Spence will in fact trigger the rematch clause. That's what I want to talk about in this video. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Terence Crawford, he had his day in Omaha, being celebrated for being a champion and defeating Errol Spence Jr. Terence Crawford was asked about, are you rematching Errol Spence? To which Crawford replied, quote, I haven't heard anything yet. Like I said before, it's in the contract, so it's not if I'm open to it or not, it's in the contract. He goes on to say, Errol Spence gave me the opportunity and the shot to become the first male boxer undisputed in any division in the 4-belt era, so I honor that. And if it was to come to me or activate his rematch, then I would honor that. Crawford continues, it feels great because part of my whole career, I've been hit with the he was over the hill, he wasn't that good, you're fighting, not fighting nobody, you're fighting tomato can. So I was always hit with negative feedback because of how well I performed in these big fights. A lot of people, they wanted to see me struggle in certain fights, but like I said before, in the press conference, I never struggled in not one of my fights ever, and professional. I always won with flying colors, end quote. Now, I wouldn't go that far. He says he's never struggled. I thought the Gamboa fight, I mean, there's been fights where he's been down for sure. Like not down as in like knockdown, but I'm talking about down on the scorecards. The Sean Porter fight, that was a competitive fight. So I guess it depends on your definition of what struggling is and what isn't struggling. But the Gamboa fight, the Mean Machine, the Sean Porter fight, I think these are all fights where he was pushed. Even fights like Thomas Delorme, right? Thomas Delorme, if you rewatch the fight, for whatever reason, it didn't look like Crawford was opening up, and he typically is a slower starter, so that could have been the reason. But nonetheless, he was down on the scorecards at the time, and he turned it all around. But that's neither here nor there. Regarding Errol Spence in the rematch, we got to see what Errol Spence decides. I will say there's a lot of people, including myself, but Abel Sanchez to Floyd Mayweather and Shane Mosley, Wilder, different people throughout boxing have insinuated that Errol Spence, you know, is not at the weight class that he should be, and or he was some kind of weight drained or whatever because of his performance looked flatter than expected. And I think that's fair. At the end of the day, you can say whatever you want. Crawford is a top talent. I rate him. He's the #1 pound for pound. He has skill. However, I'm not going to let my eyes deceive me. It's not that he won. It's how he won, and the fact that there were no moments that were even remotely competitive in a fight that people thought was a 50-50 fight and Hagler-Hearns. But nonetheless, Terence Crawford played it well. Like, he got a tune-up in December, and Errol Spence was, I'm Mr. No Tune-Ups. And I think all these things came back to bite him in a major way. It's not just that Crawford is a skill fighter, but when you put that on top of every single other attribute to this fight, Errol didn't put himself in a winning position as the A side. And that's a lesson learned. And I think that's, again, it doesn't change anything, but I think it's Errol Spence can be a cautionary tale of why fighters should battle before they get in the ring with what you negotiate. They always say you don't get what you're worth, you get what you negotiate. And I think this is an example of that, where Errol Spence, terrific fighter, at the very least, I'll just say this, he would have put himself in a better position, not necessarily just to win, but a better position to do better and perform better than what he showed. And that's removing the long layoff, taking the Keith Thurman fight, which you both would have been on the long layoff, etc., instead of letting Crawford get one in with a guy we knew couldn't beat him like David Avocado, and then, you know, all these things against you, the coin flip and all that. I've already talked about it. Now, that being said, Errol Spence has put himself in a tremendously difficult position because, like he said, he's not making any excuses. I'm just giving you my honest opinion on what I seen on July 29th. But he's put himself in a very difficult and fragile position because no matter what happens, you signed up for that weight, you agreed to that weight, you fought at that weight, and we got an outcome. And Crawford looked legendary and levels above. And now Errol Spence, I definitely think he can do better, but you don't want to lose in such a fashion because it immediately gives, right or wrong, it gives your opponent too much confidence. And Crawford is already a confident dude. So now his confidence is probably legendary because of how he whooped Errol Spence on that given night. And Floyd Mayweather talks about it all the time. Floyd says, like, you know, guys get the best of me in the sparring, but when it counts under the bright lights, I always perform. And you got to give credit to Terence Crawford so far, even though I don't think his resume is deep in its totality when he fought guys. This is a certified signature win for him, and he's performing on those given nights because we have seen lesser fighters lose to other guys in an upset fashion that they weren't supposed to lose to. Like, even like, let's say recent Trayvon Marshall, right? He just lost and got upset by a guy with 5-0 or whatever record, Gabriel Maestre. So Crawford, he is talented because these things, like, he could have fought Lundy or Delorme and lost if he wasn't as good as he is. But he hasn't let these Felix Diaz and these other fight. He's still in combat. That's basically what I'm getting at. He's still a pugilist and he's fighting someone who's trying to take what he has. And even if you are overmatched, I've seen guys who have been upset by underdogs, and Terence Crawford hasn't been a victim of that. And then now he stepped up with what everybody perceived to be a 50-50 fight, and it was the same result. So you got to give him credit. Errol Spence has put himself in a very difficult position losing in that fashion, because even if you rematch him at 154, Terence Crawford feels like he has your number, and maybe he was, just from being in the ring with you X amount of rounds, he's going to feel like he has your number and he noticed little things about you. So it's going to be a do or die fight for Errol Spence, and really a much win situation versus, like, let's say Anthony Joshua. He did get stopped by Andy Ruiz, but he badly hurt Andy Ruiz before that, and then he got careless. So even though the outcome was the same, a loss and a stoppage to an undefeated fighter, when he lost to Ruiz, he at least knew he had the power to hurt Ruiz, and then maybe he got careless. So I think that's a little bit easier to bounce back from, as opposed to when you get skunked. Now your back's totally against the wall. All the pressure's on you to perform better. And if you perform worse or the same outcome, you know, it's kind of like in boxing. We seen Tony Thompson versus David Price. And then David Price was like, oh, this was a fluke. And then he lost just as bad in the rematch. So Errol Spence doesn't want that to happen. Let me know what you guys think. Best in the business. I'll be back with some more boxing. Subscribe to the channel. Do yourself a favor. And I'm out. Introducing Super Thanks. Right here on the official Boxingego YouTube. Super Thanks allows you, the viewers, to show a little bit of extra gratitude, which enables me as a full-time content creator to push out the content you need in the world of boxing. Underneath all the videos, you will see a heart with the $sign in it. You can enter any amount that you find suitable as a super thanks. A brand new, interactive, and colorful way to get your comments highlighted and noticed by not only myself, but other people on the YouTube platform. Super thanks, a unique and cool way to show and applaud us full-time content creators. Hopefully you guys enjoy the content. Super thanks. The future is now. The Hibernation 5s by Kenichi Bear. Hybrid gaming and lifestyle headphones. Out of the box, you can connect to any console or PC. Bluetooth ready with a low latency USB adapter, color RGB, and extreme bass mode. The Hibernation 5s adjust to you. Whether you need a gaming, travel, gym, or lifestyle headphones, the Hibernations got you covered. The new Hibernation 5s, link in the description. Customize the way you hear the world. Welcome to the nation. Are you tired of your YouTube videos not getting any views? Well, consider TubeBuddy. I've used TubeBuddy for years to scale up my YouTube channel. Now we're sitting over 200,000 subscribers. TubeBuddy is a browser extension that offers a ton of built-in productivity and time-saving services to take your channel to the next level. Use my link in the description to get started with TubeBuddy and level up your channel faster. We working.